Hi everybody. So this is an interesting case presented recently. So this is a 56-year-old diabetic female who presented with recurrent tense bullae on both legs, which occur intermittently. Every few months she gets one blister here and one blister there, which heals within about a few weeks. It's relatively painless and it has serious fluid within it. Now, over the last 5 years, only on direct questioning, she mentioned these papules in the background that are there here, and these she admits to being itchy occasionally, and she scratches them. And these heal, leaving these sort of brown macules in the background. And these papules are quite tiny, actually. All right. So I took two biopsies. One biopsy was taken from the sort of papule, sort of the raised papule. And what you can see here is essentially atrophy of epidermis. Can you see that the epidermis is atrophied? This is a bit of serum crust here. So this suggests that the lesion has been recently scratched. It is not a blister per se, it's just serum crust, because you can see yellowish colored serum here, and because of scratching sometimes serum accumulates between the stratum corneum and the epidermis. Now what you can also see is what we call effacement of the reti ridges. So these reti ridges appear effaced, meaning that there are no reti ridges. The epidermis is quite flat without any reti ridges, and this usually suggests that there has been interface dermatitis here. And also you can see these brown sort of dots, these are melanophages, and these are evident even here in the higher part. And you can see here that the infiltrate is clearly lichenoid here, with sort of Max Joseph spaces here starting to form, or actually they have formed here, and there is basal keratinocyte necrosis. And there is a fairly dense infiltrate of lymphocytes here, you can see in the upper dermis. This is sort of a lichenoid infiltrate, and the diagnosis here based on the clinico-pathological correlation is lichen planus. This is not papular urticaria. Papular urticaria does not usually have a lichenoid infiltrate. Lichen simplex chronicus also does not have a lichenoid infiltrate. Now you may wonder why it is lichen planus when there is atrophy. Well, depending on the stage of lichen planus, one may have either epidermal hypertrophy or atrophy. I mentioned this earlier in previous discussions. If the infiltrate is quite prolonged, and sort of if the inflammation is prolonged, it may lead to atrophy of the epidermis. So epidermal atrophy or hypertrophy simply depend on the interplay between the epidermal forces and the inflammatory forces. So if the inflammation is intense and it does not allow the epidermis to sort of multiply and thicken up, what you end up is with an atrophic epidermis, and that is the pathology behind what is called as so-called atrophic lichen planus. Alright. Prurigo nodularis does not have a lichenoid infiltrate again, and usually there is epidermal thickening, and also there you have vertical alignment of collagen bundles in prurigo nodularis, and you have marked hyperkeratosis as well. So this is not prurigo nodularis. Alright. So the next biopsy was from the edge of a bulla. The DIF was negative for immunoglobulin and C3, and the question is, what is the likely cause of the bulla? Well, as you can see here, this is the first picture. You can see in the first image the bulla is sort of subepidermal. The basal layer appears relatively intact here. So this bulla has not really been caused by lichen planus. If it's bullous lichen planus, what you should see is a dense inflammatory infiltrate, and then there should be large Max Joseph space causing a subepidermal bulla. So bullous lichen planus is essentially an exaggerated Max Joseph space. So if, for example, in this particular lesion you're seeing a large bulla with a lichenoid infiltrate, you can call this bullous lichen planus. However, in this case, this particular bulla has no inflammation. The inflammation is very sparse, it's fairly minute. You have small specks of lymphocytes in the upper dermis, you can see here in the higher part as well. You're seeing sort of slight inflammatory infiltrates in the upper dermis. This is actually the silhouette. This is a more higher part, and this is sort of a mid part. You can see here that the infiltrate is very sparse. You have a few lymphocytes here, and the split is subepidermal. There was serous fluid at the time of biopsy, but that is not visible here in the H&E section because the serous fluid was sort of drained out during the process of puncturing the lesion when we were biopsying it. Okay, so this is essentially a cell-free subepidermal blister, relatively cell-poor subepidermal blister. Now, if the immunoglobulin was positive for either IgG or C3, one may consider diagnosis like EB acquisita, lichen planus pemphigoides, which is essentially bullous pemphigoid occurring in the setup of lichen planus. Again, in that you expect to see a few more eosinophils. EB acquisita also has IgG and C3, though it is more granular in EB acquisita. So bullous pemphigoid, the lesions are similar to lichen planus pemphigoides. The immunoglobulin DIF profile is similar. So bullous lichen planus, as I said, we need to have lichen planus here. So what we are left with is essentially bullous diabeticorum. So this is bullous disease of diabetes. This is a controversial entity, but definitely exists. And I've not seen many, to be honest, but it is the typical presentation. This patient has got the typical presentation of bullous diabeticorum, wherein you have sort of these tense subepidermal, sometimes they can be intraepidermal as well, blisters, which without much inflammation actually, and immunofluorescence does not show any immunoglobulins or C3 if you do the DIF studies. So this, given the DIF studies, is bullous diabeticorum. Bullous lichen planus is only other differential given the absence of immunoglobulin C3, but again we have ruled that out because there is no lichenoid infiltrate in this particular lesion. So this is a unique combination of lichen planus associated with bullous diabeticorum. This is an interesting case. It's a slightly tough case. I have included because it is an interesting case, and unless you correlate pathologically, correlate the clinical with the pathology, you cannot arrive at a diagnosis in this case. And this tells you the importance of histology and the importance of DIF in this particular case. Thank you.